Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again back here on the Thursday evening with the Crest Autosport World Touring Car Challenge Season 4 already. With me in the commentary booth and on production this evening is the one and only Dean Biggles. He's once again here with us, and this time he's all safe and sound. He's not unhealthy anymore. And I'm happy with that, because last week, of course, if you still remember that, it was a blast at Nagaro, if I still pronounce that correctly, because remember, I did have to take about the whole cast to get that pronounced correctly in the proper French way. But hey, we got there in the end. Today we are at the track, at my home track, a track that I was looking forward to in the calendar, the TT Assen circuit. And what a track this is here on the 10th of November. 2022. Dean, Biggles, a question to you. What do you think of this track?
Sir, never been here before in my life. I'm looking forward to it even more. Some of the new tracks I've never visited. Never visited South of France, of course, last week, but this one around. It looks good. These tracks are, and to see these touring cars fly around them as fast as possible is great, of course. Don't forget our sponsors, Esports Sim, Track Racer, 603 Autosports, our major sponsor, of course, Apex Tracks, 3D Wrap, digitalmotorsports.com, and GP Box. And yes, exactly, of course, presented by JP Broadcasting. And that's the circuit here, obviously in the Netherlands. How far away is this track from you, my friend? What's about 4.5 kilometer overall track?
I'm saying it's about a 250 kilometer journey.
Oh, wow. That's about the size of your whole country.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I live all the way down at the bottom of my country in Limburg. For the people close to Maastricht. If anyone knows that, probably no one does. Because, well, who does know? It's the Netherlands all of a sudden. But yeah, it's almost all the way at the top. In the top right. That's where Assen is.
Ah, yeah, the opposite. Okay, fair enough. North of Amsterdam, I presume, stuff like that. Okay. Anything you know too much about this track? Have you driven it before? Like, it's not, I mean, it's got a couple of shorter straightaways rather than that long straightaway we had last week in France.
Well, I actually know quite a lot about this track because I've driven here myself. Not in a race, but I've driven here on a track day. So, yes, I do know this track quite well. And it's an exciting track.
Can you answer Alex's question out there? Do you know what the TT stands for?
No.
Aha.
Actually, it's really bad, but I can't. It has probably something to do with the motorcycle stuff, because that's what the circuit originally was built for.
That's something out there for everybody. You can see the turns are 18 of them, 12 to the right and 6 to the left. So more punishment, of course, will be on your left-hand tires, of course, because you're turning right. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Stevie out there, Chris. Crispy microphone is crispy. My voice is a lot better than last week when I was feeling pretty ill. Oh, yeah. Chris gets it, apparently. It's tourist trophy. That's what it means. Fantastic. Thank you. Very knowledgeable out there. Well, we're back again for another sprint weekend. If you'd like to go over the sprint schedule there for us, please.
Of course. And first and foremost, before I go over this, I have to apologize. I was wrong last week with how the ballast works. Alex pointed me out on that, so I was wrong. I am going to correct it this week, though. So we, of course, begin, as always, Biggles, with a qualifying session. A 15-minute qualifying session. That's always the case. It doesn't matter which program we're running. It's always a 15-minute qualifying session. Always open, so all the drivers are on the track at the same time. And that runs, of course, from 8 UK time, 8 p.m. UK time, all the way to 2020 UK time. And then we have race 1, which will be 15 minutes long, and it will be based, or the grid will be based on the qualifying results. After that, we go into a little intermission screen, and we go into a beat right back. And then after that, when we come back, we're back with race 2. Also a 15-minute race, but the grid is based on race 1, a reversed top 10 from that result. So looking forward to that, of course. It's always exciting to have reverse grid races. And because of that, in the last race, we will have another top 10 reversed, but the race will be 5 minutes longer for those drivers to come back through the field. So 20 minutes there in race 3, and that will go on at 21:20 UK time. So a lot to look forward to. And I think it's almost time already, Biggles, that we get into qualifying. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the cars we are using here this evening. As last evening and the evening before, we're using the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, the Audi RS3 LMS, the Cooper Leon Competition, the Honda Civic, the Hyundai i30N Elantra, and the Hyundai Elantra, the Lada Vesta, the Lincoln Co. 03, the Opel Astra, the Peugeot 308, love that car, the Renault Megane, and the Volkswagen Golf. And I got this wrong a couple of times last week, GTI.
GTI, yes, of course. That's my brother owns, both of my brothers own a Volkswagen Golf GTI each. And my parents own a Volkswagen Golf, but that's the diesel version. Tracks that we're at, of course, at the moment, this is round 3 in your home country of the Netherlands. And then, of course, we have a little bit of a break. And then we head over to Spa-Francorchamps, whatever you pronounce it, of course, Suzuka, and then into Germany for the final round. Previous round results, well, Mr. Alex gets the top of the points there, but Lee Horne was one really to look out for, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really, well, he was really quick there, but Alex also had some unfortunate events happening, as did Lee Horne. But our championship leader, Geoff Perkins, or Fabio Gil it was last week, I think, well, he wasn't up to the task of keeping that championship lead because, of course, as you can see, Alex Everitt has taken it.
Yeah, well, we'll pull out the championship lead at the moment that'll show you overall, Lee Horne, as you'd mentioned.
Lee Horne. Like I said, it's not Alex Everitt, actually, because Alex Everitt wasn't, well, Alex Everitt was the winner overall last week. But Lee Horne takes the championship win ahead of Fabio Gil and Alex Everitt in P3. So I think, Biggles, as you can see, it's still quite tight, actually, with the top 3, with only 11 points in it. And we're only 2 rounds into this into the 6-round championship. We're into the 3rd round. After this round, we're halfway through into the season. We do have to mention, though, we do have a 3-week break after this week, because I think the reason is that Alex is away. So that's why we have a 3-week break in the middle of it all. But it also gives the driver some time to rest up. In P4, though, Geoff Perkins, he was also really quick last week. Out of Jurgen Madsby Peterson in P5. Luke Crave is in P6, 7th Alex Ward, 8th Stephen the Gravelayer, 9th Ian Deeney, 10th Robert Stoughton, 11th Paul Hans, Nigel Stock 12th, Gabriel Lopez, P13. And I actually, maybe I have a fun fact about Gabriel. He actually races with a controller, I've heard.
Oh, nice.
From someone. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriel, but that's what I've heard from Alex at least. And he's, of course, well-known in this community, so he should know his stuff. Fraser Ross is at P14, though. Only 6 points behind that, and he's 5 points behind Remo Schneider. Ross Butcher in P16, 17th Pedro Santos. And tied on points, actually, with Rodrigo Portugal. Roy Plummer in P19, ahead of Craig Deacon in P20. Carl Smith in P21, P22 for Ricardo Pessoa Santos. Chris Banks in P23, James Lee P24, Anastasios Georgiadis, who said he would be here this week. Last week, I think he had something happening with his PC why he couldn't be here. And Martin Corcoran, if I pronounce that correctly, in P25, and Yunus Karbet.
Correct. You are correct.
Well.
He
on 0 points.
He is here. And real quickly for the team's championship before we go down to the track for the rest of their practice session. The Figures Motorsports 260.
Indeed. Well, Biggles, go on. That's your one to call.
Well, the Crest Autosports of Daypad Tracks, of course, is just there, and 236, but very close to Next Gen Racing Green. And then when green is not go, you've got your white and your blue. So the battle of the Next Gens, of course, and they're going to battle their way up to the top. Then you've got the other Crest Autosports, which is 603 Autosports, of course, one of our sponsors. Now we have here at Crest Autosports World Touring Car Championship. K Patience, I would put that one at. And Ruslag Racing, 119. So it's still plenty of up for grabs there, of course, as you mentioned. This will be the halfway point once we finish it this evening. So let's obviously go down to the track side there for the remaining little bits of time that we have in our practice session, of course, and to the right-hand side. Make sure you check out our sponsor there, 3D Wrap. Put Crest 10 Autosport into that code and get 10% off all your 3D Wrap products. We could wrap our microphones. That's a good idea. I might put a bit of a wrap around the bottom of my microphone. I'm pretty sure they can sort something out with them, isn't it? They wrap your steering wheels, they wrap your equipment.
They wrap everything.
Cars. Exactly.
If you want, they can wrap you even. It won't stay on for long, I'm sure about that. But I'm sure if they will work with you and they will make it happen. But Biggles, I have a question for you as we now almost move into qualifying, only 30 seconds left in practice. Do you have a track map ahead of you, and do you know any of the corner names?
No, I don't, unfortunately, because I'm not a race driver like you guys are. And I haven't casted this event before, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm relying on your local knowledge, my friend, of how you make your way around these cars. But we'll do that in a second, because qualifying is just about to start, and then you can give us hot lap. Of course, this commentary team is presented by the Double Ds, Dean Biggles and Daan Pepels. You get your name correctly at some point, wouldn't I, mate? Hopefully I did. Practice session's now over.
It's good enough.
Qualifying will be about to begin. And not to mention, we also don't forget that we will have to vote for your driver of the day later on. We have to get through the qualifying in those 3 races first. And then vote for your Apex Tracks driver of the day. Give that driver a bit of a boost, of course. And then later on, as you know, the very last round of the series is the Apex Track sponsored. And the winner of the overall championship will get one of those fantastic Apex tracks that you can put up on your wall. That's Melbourne currently at the moment. You should know that track. That's on the screen.
I do. Yeah, it's an amazing track. Also, Biggles, I found out what TT means. You want to know?
Yes, I already knew. Tourist trophy.
Oh, okay then.
You have two. I read the chat, my friend. I read the chat to make sure that all our fantastic fans out there are following, and I got my eyes everywhere. I believe that, who was that they called that one out? Was it Chris? Just trying to see who it was there for a second. Chris, it was. You won. Yeah, you don't win anything, unfortunately. Just a bit of bragging rights, but knowledge. You can brag to say that you knew more about this track from the Dutch caster with me, aka Dan, who should know his own home tracks.
Well, we're gonna get into a lap around the track at that point, and at some point, when I start pronouncing the Dutch corner names in the proper Dutch way, a lot of you will be lost at what I'm actually saying, because we know that Dutch is not a well-known language.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. I could try it out, but I would tell you, I'd love it. So in a second, we're going to get the qualifying. We'll go on board. Who would you like for us to go on board with? And then you can do the guide.
I think it's only fair enough to go on board with the man who's here with us this evening, but wasn't with us last evening, Anastasios Georgiadis.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking about that to myself. Actually, I was going to give it to a vote out there for the chat. But there you go. How about you vote for the next driver if you want us to go on board with? And Dan's going to pronounce a lap around here. So, and Anastasios, head out, mate. He is right on cue. So he's expecting to see some of this Dutch commentary there from Dan. And all the Dutch corners is going to be fun. He hasn't actually gone out yet. My apologies. He's waiting. Thought he was. Come on, my friend. In the Cupra.
We're waiting on him. We're counting on him.
Yep. Somebody give him a text message out there. Some give him a DM. Send him a... Here he is. Is it finally coming out now?
He's heard us. He's heard us. I don't know what's going by, Biggles, but it sounded really loud. Is there
it's one of the tow trucks. One of the tow trucks ready to pick up, hopefully, maybe no cars. It's just getting around the track there to warm up the tow truck. Welcome to Panama, my friend. Very, very noisy. Don't worry about noise pollution software on their cars. Anyway, there is a rumor, of course, it may very well be a Caribbean Grand Prix in the future for Formula One, which will be the Colombia, and I've been pushing to try to get Panama on there, and I'm still pushing some of the people that I know to get Panama, which would be an even better location, I'd say, for the Caribbean GP, but we're talking a few years away from now. What we are talking about is on board the Mr. Anastasios, and he's getting it all warmed up.
Say his last name, Biggles. Don't get around it, say it.
Georgia Diaz. Got a Diaz?
Close enough.
Yeah, all right.
Close enough. It's closer than I expected from you, Biggles. So, well, of course, as everyone knows, our expected or our expectations of you pronouncing names correctly is pretty low. But you actually did well on that one, I have to say. It's Anastasios Georgiadis.
Grazie. All right, that looks like a bit of a tricky corner, of course, as he goes right out wide. But once you get his gist on his out lap, we're gonna get ready to hear Daan from in his local Dutch corner names, of course. You know them all off by heart? We'll see in a second.
I do.
All right. So let us know where he's coming. He must be coming around close to the main straightaway soon.
He's coming around Ramshoek now.
Okay.
He's going into Geert Timberbocht.
All right, here we go, Dan. Get ready then.
Oh, that's a little bit too much of a cut there. I don't know if this lap is going to count for it, but here we go. Anastasis Georgiadis running then into turn 1, the Haarbocht. And what a corner this is. It's really tricky because it does look like it has a pretty wide entry, but it tightens up on it on exit as we now go through turn 2, Maadijk. And then we go into Ossenbroeke, and this is turn 3, a really tricky one, a really long one. Goes on for quite a long while. Tricky one on the bike as well. As we go now down to turn 4 and 5. That was actually turn 4. We go through turn 5 now onto a really, really long straight as well. As we have the left-hander now then coming up.
My apologies.
That's the left-hander.
Wrong car. There we go.
I was confused for a second, but we're through Ruskenhoek now. That was the little right-hand kink on the straight there, and we're into Stekkenwald now. And the left-hander here really goes on for quite a long while. This is particularly a difficult corner in on the bike. We're into Mondeveen now, also a really long right-hander. We're getting into another left-hander after this one, and into Meeuwmeer now. Well, as you can see with this track, it's an occurring team. It does take quite a long while before you actually get to a proper straight. The only proper straight we do have with cars is Rekenshoek, which is a really long straight. That's from turn 5 down to turn 7. As we now down into, well, what you can call a straight. You have a little kink in it here. This is Ramshoek. We're going through now 13, 14. This is Ramshoek 15, the left-hander. And then we go, of course, into that chicane, Geert Timberbocht. It's a really tricky one because you don't want to cut too much on the second part of it. There's a big sausage there. If you hit that, the car is probably toasted. So don't hit that. And across the line we go. And that lap time was... It didn't count.
It didn't count, I think, because of the invalidation you mentioned at the start there. James Lee's lap did count, as it puts him up as a 143.3 on the dial. Yeah, very tricky. That reminder of that last sector of the track, isn't it? Kind of there, you can kind of go Casio Triangle. You could go a little bit quicker than Spa, like the bus stop. There's many different, and you always do like that tight, the tight S's right towards the end of a lap because there's also great overtaking opportunities if you get a good exit out of there, and then get them into turn 1. And some of those high-speed corners that you saw just before you got to that final complex of series of corners. I guess you go flat out through them, don't you? You said those little kinks to the left and kinks to the right. Yeah,
you do. Especially with a TCR car. Even in an MX-5 car, those corners are flat. Corners to look out for is Ossenbroeke. That is turn 3. Maadijk, easy flat in these cars. Also, one to look out for is Mondeveen. That's corner 10. And the Duikersloot, which is corner 11, well, 10 leads into corner 11. It's a really long right-hander. I don't know why the Dutch people have made 2 corners of it. I can't explain it myself. I personally would have given it 1 corner. But hey, there you go. It's 2 corners. It's Mondeveen and Duikersloot. I don't know if you're still keeping up with those names, Biggles.
Absolutely.
Also, a tricky one, which looks tighter, or which looks wider on entry, but also tightens up on exit, as turn 1 does the Haarbocht, is the Bult. That's actually turn 9. So turn 9. So turn 9, 10, 11. It's a really tricky complex, and it's vital because it of course leads into that, well, kind of straight from Meeuwmeer, Hogeheide, Ramshoek, and Geert Timber.
Oh, sounds good, isn't it? The Dutch. You can keep saying those corner names all race night and day long. Look at that. Even some of the audience members have all dressed up in the Dutch flag to wearing the different colours on their shirts. Well, that's the seats behind, actually, right there down the main straightaway. Neil Crave yet to set a time. We still have a lot of drivers banging. He does set a time right there up into P7, just ahead there of Jeff Perkos. Now, Fabio Gil has yet to set a time. Craig Deacon, Robert Stolton, Stevie, Chris Banks. We saw Stevie invalidated, Pedro Santos. Still a lot of the big names out here that haven't yet to set some times. Alex currently in P5. There it is. It's, what, 3/10 down? Very close, isn't it, between second, third, and fourth there, just separated by under a tenth.
Well, Biggles, I have a question for you. Do we have a scenic camera of Geert Timberbok, the last chicane coming up to the start-finish straight? Do you have a scenic camera of that? Because I do want to tell a little story about that.
I don't think so, my friend. We're kind of limited a little bit on that.
I'm just still gonna tell it, but you just have to imagine the corner. This is turn 10 and 11 we're looking at. You can see we're coming out of turn 9. The Bult Mondeveen is the first one we're going through, and then the other right-hander is Duikersloot. Really tricky, complex of corners. You go down, as you can see, into a long straight, so it's vital that you get that right. As we're looking with Greg Deacon, but that chicane, you have the first right-hander. Then the left-hander, usually it's a straight line after that. But the car is unsettled already. And you turn into the right, then the left, and see, you still have to turn right again.
Yeah.
It's not a straight line from there on out. So on a bike, it's way more easy because, of course, you don't have the width of the bike to worry about. You are the width of the bike. With a car, of course, has 4 wheels, as we all know. That's Mr. Obvious here, but it's wider. You have to take into account the sausage curve that's on the left-hand side. If you touch it, like I said, the car is into bits. If you touch the suspension, is probably broken. It's a deadly curve, and I hope we don't see anyone touching it this evening, because it will be instant death when you touch that curve. And then you have to turn kind of right again after that left-hander, and the car is already unsettled. So yeah, it's a tricky one, I have to say. It'll be interesting to see how the drivers exactly manage it, because knowing from previous races here and having driven here myself, that is the corner where there's going to be the most action here this evening.
I bet you we're going to see some action. We've seen a lot of action generally all the time anyway, which is what it's all about here in the Crest Autosport. Action, 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 elbows out, bumping and grinding, as I've mentioned multiple times. Getting down to 5 minutes and change for our qualifying session now there, Dan, and still some names without any laps on the board, or laps counted on the board.
Quite a lot of names actually without a lap on the board. At the moment, 5 drivers without a point. Something I do want to touch on as well, and I'll be given that by our beautiful and lovely colleague Alex Everitt, of course the man who's driving as well, is the fact that the man who's gained the most positions this season as of yet is actually the man himself. Alex Everitt up 13 positions in total, losing the most positions this championship at the moment is the man in 9th in the championship. That's Ian Deeney. He lost 19 positions, Biggles. That's actually quite a lot.
He just got the fastest lap on the board at a 42.7, so I think he's making up for it.
Well, no, he's not, and it's not that he's not fast enough, but if he's first, Biggles, he can't gain any position. He can only lose one. So it's only going to get worse from that point on.
Oh, that's true. It's not a bad problem to have, is it?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. But I was just shocked that he lost 90 positions, because I was like, well, we know he's a good driver. We know he's usually up there. So how has he lost 90 positions? That is just one bad race for him, probably. And he lost a lot of positions in there, or in that race. And since then, he's always been at the top. So he can't gain a lot of positions. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why he's down 90 positions overall.
Exactly. And just to re-elaborate with the ballast situation of everybody while we have a remaining 3.5 minutes of qualifying there, to elaborate with everybody, because we know it can get a little confusing, but Dan's about to explain it perfectly for us. As we're watching Carl Smith from the Danger Racing Squad, Danger Racing Squad, making his way down to perhaps get his first lap on the board, and he does. He's 4 seconds and change down the road there, plump last, but he's got a lap on the board. We still have a couple of drivers that haven't, 3 of them.
Well, because also something that I said, I apologized for earlier, but I'm going to do it again. The ballast I got wrong last week at the Garo, and I'm going to make up for it this time because I'm going to explain it in its fullest. So, in qualifying, we have the top 8 with ballast, and P1 in the championship gets 40 kilograms. So the top 8 in the championship in qualifying gets 40 kilograms, which will start with P1. 40 kilograms for him. Then for P2, we get 35 kilograms. For P3, we get 30 kilograms. For P4, he gets 25. P5 gets 20. P6 gets 15. P7 gets 10. And P8 gets 5 kilograms. So that's how that works. In race 1, that's exactly the same. The top 8 in the championship will have exactly the same. So the next race, which we're coming up to now, we'll see the top 8 in the championship with ballast. And the number 1 in the championship gets 40 kilograms, the number 2, 35, the number 3, 30, the number 4, 25, the number 5, 20, the number 6 gets 15, the number 7, 10, and the number 8 gets 5 kilograms. So that's how it works, because there was some confusion last week, so I once again apologize for that. But I hope, Biggles, I've made up for it this evening.
I believe so. And you made up with it with your Dutch names for the track corner names and the certain parts of around here, and Bitterball.
Can you pronounce turn 1 for me?
No.
Just turn 1.
No, we can.
The Haakbocht.
The Haakbocht?
Haakbocht. Okay, yeah, that's close enough, man. Well, for you butchering names all the time.
To think that I lived in Amsterdam for 6 months and not know a little bit of Dutch.
Well, you have to a lot. So
yeah, exactly.
It's difficult, you know. It's difficult.
There we go.
But there we go.
Qualifying's over.
Qualifying, we know that this is not the actual end at all, because we know that still people can improve. But I'm gonna go over it. So if stuff changes, I'm sorry in advance. Ian Deeney here will have pole position ahead of Alex Everitt. Lee Horne in P3. Fraser Ross's P4. P5 for James Lee. 6th, Neil Crave. 7th, Alex Ward. Fabio Gil, P8. P9 for Ross Butcher. Geoff Perkins, P10. Ricardo Pessoa Santos, P11. Stephen the Gravelair, P12. P13, Pedro Santos. 14, Paul Hads. 15th, Rodrigo Portugal. 16th, Anastasios Georgiades. So he did get a lap time in. Also getting a lap time in was Robert Stoughton in P17. Greg Deacon, P18. P19 for Chris Banks. And P20 for Carl Smith. In P21 though, which is not showing up for some reason, we do, oh there we go, we do have Nigel Stock. That was it.
That's it, and we, as you said, exactly.
Oh no, Roy Plummer P21 and Nigel Stock at P22, excuse me. That's the case. So Nigel Stock at P22 and Roy Plummer P20.
And it's staying up nice and longer for us this time around, so.
Phil across the pond asks, why do the top cars get ballast? Well, Phil, that's to keep it interesting. This is TCR, and as you know, maybe in TCR in real life as well, Phil, the cars get ballast there as well. So it's important to keep everyone in contention, because you do have an overall class. And we know that some drivers are quicker than the others, and just to not give any driver too much of an advantage and to let the championship be decided too early on, we do have ballast for the top 8. In race 2 though, Phil, that will change, but I will tell them when we get to race 2, because otherwise there's going to be confusion between those two. So for race 1 here, the top 8 of the championship as it stands right now, and I don't know if you can show that real quickly for us, Biggles, the championship standings, so we know who has the ballast. I think if we go off of what we know, Lee Horne will have 40 kilograms. There we go. Fabio Gil will have 35 kilograms, 40 kilograms for Alex, or 30 kilograms for Alex Everitt, 25 for Geoff Perkins, 20 for Jürgen Martin Peterson, 15 for Neil Crave, 10 for Alex Ward, and 5 kilograms for Stephen the Gravelair. For Stephen, though, I do want to point on that he has been doing bits, because, of course, we know that he was 2nd in the Category 3 championship last season. And we know Category 3 was the lowest category he could be in. And for him now to be in P8, on an overall standings, that's not too bad, I think, Biggles.
Absolutely not bad at all. Go down trackside because about 17 seconds left to warm up, and then we're going to get ready for our first sprint race here in the Netherlands for our World Touring Car Championship. Yeah, it should be a little bit short trip, or about 3-hour trip, as you can see James Lee going into the pit lane. They're just in a warm up at the moment. I think that was Nigel just having a little bit of off-track adventure there, getting some tires burnouts done. It's the last time you're going to get to do a burnout, unless you do a burnout off the racing line at the start, and you don't want to be bogged down too much.
Well, did you actually know that the pit entry is faster than the chicane itself?
Did not. Now that I noticed that. I should have done a track walk with you earlier.
Yeah, indeed, you should have. You should do actually more track walks, not only here, because I know the track. You should do them just more often. Just come with me, and we'll have a step around the circuit. So we'll step on the step around the circuit.
I should print them out with the Apex tracks, isn't it? Put it up on my wall, so I see it every single day. I'm in my office with my casting, and then I'll get to know all those corners off by heart. Welcome everybody in the chat, of course. We will be reading that when we get a chance, and we take our eyes off the action, but we won't be taking our eyes off the action at the moment there, will we? Because Ian's about to start on pole, and next to him will be Mr. Alex, and then Lee Horne and Fraser in the second row. Go ahead.
It's green here in Dutchland, in the Netherlands, and we're green here at the TT Assen circuit. It's Ian Dini leading us away. Alex Everitt still behind him. Lee Horne immediately trying to overtake his championship rival around the outside of the Haarbocht. Does he make that move, stick into turn 2 and turn 3? Are they going to make it 3 wide? Not quite, because that is difficult going to do so. Now up the inside maybe for James Lee. Can he make that stick? Yes, he can. And it's Lee Horne down into P4. He's also being attacked by his teammate as well, Fraser Rostons. We know that those two have been on par with each other this whole championship as of yet here, these 2 rounds. But Biggles, Ian Dini led the way from the start and still in P1 after the first couple of turns.
Absolutely brilliant. Further back of the action, of course, Fabio Gil, they're also making some exchanges. Lee Horne, as you'd mentioned, there is James Lee, so Ian leaving it from Alex Everitt, James Lee and Lee Horne. Further back here, you got Fabio Gil, Ross Butcher, and Jeff Perkins. Going for it tooth and nail in the midfield here. That's the Hyundai battles. So far, so good. Everybody through, I'd say, which is what you want, because we have 15 minutes of racing, and you want to make sure you see the checkered flag. That's going to be the key. Further up, you can see Ian. Now, with a bit of a lead, about half a second gap down the road. Of course, there's Alex.
About Biggles.
Yeah.
We're now into Meerweer. We're going through it, and now through Hoogheide. That's the straight, it's called, actually. Into the left-hander now. I do think that one is a little bit of a lift into the Timberbocht, the chicane we go through now. We're looking back on the car of Ian Dini, and Alex Everitt will want to try and overtake Ian Dini.
Oh.
Ian Dini will want to stay there, and that's around the number 100 of Rodrigo Portugal, and he drops all the way down to P22. Like I said, Biggles, that here Timberbocht is one to call out the action, because that's a really tricky one. Up the inside goes Paul Hans of the Haarbocht. And can he make that stick? No, he can't at the moment. He's going to have another go at it in Ossenbroeke, and he does make it stick this time round. And Stephen de Graveler is demoted up or is up a position as well, ahead of him now in the Lincoln Co. He's going to try and make that switch back on to Ruskes Hoek. He actually has the speed. I think he's done it. Yes, he did. The Audi lacking a little bit of straight line speed there on the exit, and the Lincoln Co making use of that. The Audi gets eaten up now on the straight into the right-hander of Streckenwall. And, well, Biggles, so far so good, but the fighting is as fierce as it has ever been here. Once again here.
Absolutely, because Fabio's about to send one up on the inside there on Jeff Perkins. And he does. Jeff has to be very, very careful, I believe, as Alex Water might have just stuck through there as well. That's Alex there. There's Jeff just a little bit behind. No, Jeff's coming back there. Jeff wants a piece of this. This is not the only Alfa Romeo, well, the second Alfa Romeo on the grid, of course. Ian Neely's the one that's leading this race, and the other Alfa Romeo.
well, we know that those Alfa Romeos last week out of Nogaro run pretty well. So it'll be interesting to see how they go this at this track. Of course, a track with a lot of similar, well, a lot of similar corners to it. Slow corners, also a lot of high speed, which we didn't really have at Nogaro. But look at this, then Anastasios Georgiadis now trying to overtake. Is that number 22 of Great Deakin? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. In the Cupra, he's going to try and overtake him on the outside of the hardball. Can't make that one stick. Into also looking now into turn 3. Can he make it stick there? This one isn't favored for the outside. Can he make it work though? That would be absolutely incredible to see that happen. And he can. He has now the inside for turn 5. It's a really tight one up the inside though. Goes Stephen de Grivelier. A little bit of a touch there between those two from what I saw. But Stephen de Grivelier came through from I think P15 and is now up within 2 corners into P12.
Look at this 4-way battle going on. Someone's going to run really wide in the background there, you can still see. So Stephen de Grivelier obviously doing a fantastic job. Further up the field there, you have Ross putting a bit of pressure there on Robert. Not too much at the leaders at the moment. They've had a bit of a gap between them. This is definitely where the action is, around this P9 position, of course, and a little bit further back. That's the pack just behind this one, where they're going at it too for now. Alex Ward, of course, is just behind Jeff Perkins. It's behind this battle. You can see they're two just back there. We'll go back to that, go to that action actually, because they're going for it too for now. Side by side here, but this is going to be risky to go side by side through here, you think? You got to really be trusting in the driver ahead. He has to lift off here. Almost loses it too.
That was a big one, and that's a corner to take a look at as well, because that's a tricky one. That is actually Ramsburg. That is turn 15. Or turn 15? Turn 15. Where does 15 come from? I'm all of a sudden throwing Dutch words into the English language, which of course doesn't work, but up the inside though goes Fabio Gil of Russ Butcher, our former championship leader, now down in P8. And well, he was up there before last week, but last week he dropped down quite a bit at Nogaro, and he doesn't seem to be here either. Rodrigo Portugal with some kind of penalty there. I spotted on the right-hand side. I don't know which penalty it was. I don't know if you know that, Biggles.
I only saw it for a split second, unfortunately. It just happens sometimes in race room for that. No doubt there is a penalty. There's a penalty at the start, too, for a drive-through for one of our drivers. I think that was for Neil Crave, actually, come to think about that one for a second, but here it is. This is the battle that's presuming behind there. You go back to... And then Stephen has this man behind him, and Anastasios. And nothing really too much further up the field there. Of course, Ross is still putting... James Lee just can't find a way around Alex Everitt, which is not an easy thing to do anyway on any given Sunday. And any given Thursday, of course. But in this case...
Where's Paul Hans in the Opel? He's down in P18. James Lee in the Volkswagen GTI. He is in P3. The only Volkswagen on the grid, and he's in P3. So maybe... I don't know if the drivers still can change though, but maybe some more people will be in the Volkswagen because that car is performing consistently well in the hands of that man. And also performing consistently well is this team, Fraser Rossens and Lee Horne.
Yeah.
Next Gen Racing Green Team.
Let's change positions. Fraser went past there, so they are working together as a Next Gen Racing Green Team there, just to maybe allowing to say, hey, if you're a bit quicker, go through and see if you can catch down Mr. James Lee, which is right here in P3.
Well, that's how teamwork should be, Biggles.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Well, by the way, this battle also should be bringing them into play. Further down, Rodrigo Portugal looks like he may be making a move there on Chris Banks there, so that's the Audi. Lincoln Co. and the Audi. They're still going to be going for it too, and now for the Crest Autosport Lincoln Co. And just behind him, of course, is Chris Banks. Further up the field, they still have Alex battling it out with Jeff Perkins. And that's your battle for P10 right there. That could actually be an overtake coming in right now of Alex Ward. It's going to have the inside line, of course, which turns to the outside line. But you can follow through the S's here. You'd be bold and brave if you tried anything outside of that. Further back, did Mr. Rodrigo Portugal get this one done? Not yet. He's going to copy it, but he's going to really cut the chicane. That's going to lose a lot of exit speed scrub down there. And I think he's going to yield that position back there too. Well,
that might have damaged his car, Biggles.
Oh, it has actually. I don't know. Yeah, that's Robert Portugal, of course. That's in the blue, and that's Chris Banks that he was battling with. Further up, James
That
Lee
might
still
have
can't do
actually
anything currently at the moment with, give or say, 6 minutes change to go. You can see Ian just up the road there. Oh, really running wide between both of them. Let's have a look at the rear wing of Ian there for a second and have a look at that battle behind him.
Well, this of course is helping him, Biggles, because of course the more Alex Everitt has to look in his rearview mirror, the less he can focus on trying to gain on Ian Dean. He now has him on the outside of that second, so he now can start to work on a gap. Look at that then. Just being under pressure for Alex has lost him 5/10 in the last 3 quarters. If that doesn't tell you how offsetting it is or how off-putting it is to have someone behind you pushing as hard as James Lee is, then I don't know what does. But
Oh, James Lee could happy this one now. Oh, no. He's had to lift off.
Well, that was a smart move, I think, there from Alex Everitt. Saw that one coming, knew he was going to move to the inside. Moved to the inside with him. And James Lee had to kind of, well, how do we say, abandon his run there, because otherwise he would have run into the back of him.
Yeah, you're looking at championship points here, aren't you, up for grabs that you don't want to be, once again, I always say it, risking it for the biscuit just yet. And looks like Costa's dropped him back a little bit there, cost him about half a second. As you see the top 3 spreading out. You got Fraser Austin's a little bit further and changed down the road there, a couple of seconds. And he's got Lee Horne, of course, putting a bit of pressure on him behind him right there. But once again, we understand that they're teammates, so that was a switcheroo that was organised between the Supras. The Cupras, my apologies, not Supras, they're not Toyotas. And that's practically the action in the race at the moment. Of course, the rest of the drivers, Fabio Gil there, putting a bit of pressure there on Robert. British driver currently running in P7 versus the Portuguese driver, and he's in between a Portuguese sandwich, isn't he? Because he's got Mr. Santos just a little bit further up the road there. So is Pedro Sanchez going to try to bring Robert into play there and help out his teammate Fabio Gil?
Well, it could be. It's looking like he wants to do that, Fabio Gil, though. Of course, we know he's quick, but for some reason not turning up here in race 1 at the TT Assen circuit. So in P8 right now, trying to overtake Robert Stoughton. And I don't know if he actually can, because he's been behind him for quite a while now, Biggles.
Yeah, might be just willing to accept this one for this race, of course, because you got 3 of them. This is only the first of the sprint races. James Lee's getting close to Alex. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to think about anything soon, because we're definitely getting down to the dire stages here. Probably, what, 2 laps at most left, best?
Well, the laps are not too long here. I think 3 laps at best.
3 laps at best.
2 at least.
Something has to be done soon with somebody. Once again, these teammates, I don't know if they're going to do another switcheroo there, because it doesn't seem like Fraser Austin's got enough of the pace to try to catch down James Lee, and whether or not Lee Horne, who was leading him, was going to switch it back around again and do the teamwork play. We don't know. But we do know James Lee can't find a way around just yet. Look at this. Look at the decoy. Maybe here. Alex has to put that puck back onto the racing line, which he exactly does. As they're going to just go a little bit off-track excursion. This could be an opportunity for James Lee right now. Here it is.
I have to say, though, that Volkswagen GTR Rodrigo Portugal disqualified. Ignoring the penalty. There we go. That is the disqualification for not taking maybe a drive-through. And around the outside goes James Lee of Alex Everitt. That Volkswagen GTI looks settled in the corners. Is he going to do the switch back in Ossenbrücke? No, he can't. Into turn 5 we go now onto the long straight. He wants to get a good exit here, almost pushing him through P5 there, but that loses him a bit of exit speed, and that he's going to lose that speed all the way through to turn 7 and turn 6.
And Pedro Sanchez right here versus Robert and Fraser. There's Robert, actually. My apologies. There's Robert there on the inside. That turns to the outside through here. Look at that. Definitely running off the track there, and he should have the exit speed. We've seen this a few times now, haven't we? That's Pedro Sanchez. Once again, you got the Englishman surrounded by Portuguese drivers, and guess what? He's not surrounded by them anymore. He's just got past both of them. So Robert up in a P6. It gets ahead of Pedro Sanchez and Fabio. What a job.
Because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look on the left-hand side, it's actually quite scary how dominant the UK drivers are. Because
Yes.
Alex Everitt, James Lee, Lee Horne, Fraser Roston, Robert Stoughton, all from the UK. And the top 6 is filled with it. Only people from the UK are in the top 6. So that's big. I don't think we've had that yet in this championship. Oh, look at the left-hander, all going wide. And I must say that cannot not be a track limit.
Exactly. Here we go. They want it back. They want it back. Both of them. Who? Are they going to sandwich him into turn 1? No, they're not. They're going to back off on that one, and they're desperately trying to get past it. So they want to break up this England party. They are at the moment, of course, 7th and 8th.
Oh, down the inside. He has it. If he can break late enough, yes, he can. There we go. Keep it at the inside now. The next corner is for you as well. Push him out wide. That's what you can do here. But he's going to keep the inside as Robert Stoughton. And now into the left-hander of 5. He's going to keep that. The better exit, though, for Pedro Santos. And with that, he could take the toe. Look at this stand. Back ahead of James Lee's Alex Everitt. And behind that now are the boys from the Next Gen Green team. So they're coming as well. They're coming fast. And Lee Horne might have a chance to try and, well, get along in that battle. We're on the last lap right now with Ian Deeney. 2.9 seconds is the gap right now, Biggles. He's been dominant for so far in this race. Only a couple of corners to go. We're in to Mondeveen and Duikersloot now, turn 10-11. We're coming through Meeuwelmeer now. There we go. That's easy flat now into a little king to the right, then a little king to the left. And then the long left-hander of Ramsuk. This is a tricky one. Don't spin out here. We've seen it happening. And don't get a track limit. He doesn't. Into Geert Timmerbocht now for the last time. This race, in race 1, it will be Ian Deeney who will come through to take victory in Assen ahead of Alex Everitt and James Lee. What a race that was. Also closing up though in those last stages was Lee Horne and Fraser Rostons. The gap in the end there, only 0.7 of a second between those two.
Yeah, there's Robert Stoughton, Fabio Gil, so you still got it, and then Ross Butcher, who got past Pedro Santos there. So Pedro dropped another place from that battle, I presume, because remember those Portuguese drivers were side by side, and rounding out your top 10 would be Mr. Alex Ward, just ahead of Jeff Perkos. There's the man, Mr. Ian. Just kind of dominating fashion, didn't he, in that race? Didn't really had too much of a pressure there, usually from Alex, because Alex had to hold off James Lee the majority of that race.
Well, he managed it in the end, you know, Biggles, and to be under pressure for that long and handle that, that's a championship mentality and that's a championship attitude. Ian Deeney, though, like I said, comes through with the fastest lap. He is aced this first session. Pole position, fastest lap, and the race win at Assen. Ian Deeney is loving this circuit. Alex Everitt is as well in P2, James Lee in P3, P4 for Lee Horne, P5, Fraser Ross is P6, Robert Stoughton P7, Fabio Gil, so an all top 6 there for the UK drivers. Ross Butcher in P8, 9 for Pedro Santos, Alex Ward P10, Jeff Perkins P11, P12, Anastasia Georgiades, Stephen de Gravely P13, 14, Greg Deacon, 15, Paul Hahn, 16, Ricardo Pessoa Santos, Chris Banks P17, P18, Carl Smith, Roy Plummer P19, if I'm correct, yes, and Neil Crave rounds off the top 20.
There you have it, exactly. Sorry, I had to get a screen capture, make sure we have that one, because it does pop away pretty quickly sometimes. But the Battle of the Brits, Sarte, the top 6 there. So yes, British domination here in the Netherlands, because unfortunately we don't have any Dutch drivers. But what
no home race for Dutch drivers this season.
No, unfortunately, not at the moment. But we will be definitely having another race coming up soon. And
if you're looking forward to that, Biggles, I think we say don't go anywhere, because we will be right back with race 2. Well, we're back at the circuit of Assen and Biggles. Up on screen, we can see the results from last race. Ian Deeney, of course, with a dominant performance, 3.1 seconds ahead of Alex Everitt. And James Lee in third, and Lee Horne fourth. Well, what does that mean, you might ask, Biggles, for race 2? As we all know, race 2 is based on the result from race 1, and we do a reversed top 10. So that means then, Biggles,
Yes, sir.
that who will start in pole position? Alex Ward.
Alex Ward,
I was
exactly.
waiting on an
Next
answer.
gen. Yeah, sorry. You caught me as I was taking a sip of H2O on that one.
Oh, of course. Has to be done. Has to be done, of course. Our voices take a lot of beating during these races, of course. Especially because there's a lot of fighting going on, so a lot of screaming from us
You
as
don't
well.
think the cars take a bit of beating? We saw a bit of beating in some of these cars, a bit of paint exchanged.
Oh, of course. That's what
yeah.
touring car racing is all about.
Yeah, you wonder if some of these, you know that there's a bit of blue paint being scraped on a lot of these cars, of course, from the Crest Autosport teams. And then the bit of, not so much green in that one because you're the next gen racing team, but they were basically green scraping each other, weren't they, if anything? Lee Horne and Fraser.
Well, also, Biggles, that now means that, well, still the top 8 will get ballast, but it will be only the top 8 from qualifying.
Which is
So that
right
will
there.
mean, indeed, if we can get qualifying up, that Ian Deeney will get 40 kilograms, Alex Everitt 35, Lee Horne will get 30, Fraser Rustin's 25, James Lee 20, Neil Cray 15, Alex Ward 10, and Fabio Gil will get 5 kilograms. So that's how that now will work for race 2, and for race 3, everyone, that's exactly the same. Now let's determine the grid, and for that we have to go back to the result from race 1. There we go. It will be Jeff Perkins in P11, Anastasia Georgiadis P12, Stephen de Graveler P13, 14 Greg Deakin, 15 Paul Hans, Ricardo Pessoa Santos in P16, Chris Banks in P17, 18 Carl Smith, Roy Plummer in P19, and Neil Crave in P20. Then it will be Ian Deeney in 10th, Alex Everitt in 9th, James Lee in 8th, 7th Lee Horne, 6th Fraser Rustins, 5th Robert Stoughton, 4th Fabio Gil, 3rd Ross Butcher, 2nd Ricardo Pessoa Santos. Oh, no, I'm wrong with that. That's Pedro Santos. Excuse me, that's Pedro Santos in P2. And Alex Ward in P1. So not only does he have the most amount of ballast, but also does he have to start from P10 on the grid, Ian Deeney. So it's going to be a tough old race there for him, Biggles.
It will be, but if anything is possible when it comes to the Crest Autosports World Touring Car Championship, as they're going to get ready to be gridding up for our second race. Once again, please remember in the back of your mind, who would you like to be voting for the Apex Tracks driver of the day? As you can see in the top right-hand corner, once again, Albert Park is one of those tracks you want to put on there. Unfortunately, we won't be visiting Albert Park, but we will be definitely getting ready to go racing for round 2. Alex Ward on pole, Pedro Santos, Ross Butcher, and Fabio Gil. So see if the Portuguese can produce anything. Let's go.
We're green here at Assen again. And Alex Ward leads the way ahead of Pedro Santos and Ross Butcher in P3. Let's see if the drivers from the UK can get a top 6 again. The top 2 is at the moment settled by UK drivers, but it's Pedro Santos who wants to not let that happen. Pedro Santos, the driver from Portugal, in P3 in a UK sandwich of Fraser Russell is behind him and Ross Butcher ahead of him. Ross Butcher has the inside for turn 5, so that will be job done for him, but trying to, well, go with him in one go is Fraser Russell. He's now ahead of him as well. He got an absolute crazy run out of turn 5, but at the moment isn't able to do anything with it as we go now into Steckenball, into the right-hander and left-hander here. And now we go into the Bult. What a corner this is. And we've been through there already. There we go into now the Bult. We go. That's the left-hander we're coming up to now. And then we go into Mondeveen. Like I said, try and keep up with the Dutch names. I do pronounce them correctly because, of course, I am from the Netherlands. But hey, what else can I say about it? You know, Duikersloot is what we've just gone through. Then Meeuwmeer, and that is turn 12 is the one we're going to go through now. The right-hander. Then we have Hoogheide. That is the straight we're on right now. And then we have Ramshoek coming up. It's a tricky left-hander. Easy to go wide, as you can see here on the exit. There we go. We go really wide and take all the exit, and then we're into the Geert Timmer bocht. And that is already Biggles, a lap around Assen. And for the moment, we're all good.
A bit of further battle action here between Ian Dealey and Lee Horne. When have we heard that before? Over and over again. Of course, Jeff Perkins is in the middle there, battling it out there. Did he get past Ian? I think he did. Making his way slowly back up to the field, of course, because it's a reverse grid scenario. So they're going to try to get anything where they can all the way up there for another 12 or so minutes. But still, that battle is remaining a little bit further up the field here between these gladiators. And look at this one at the moment there. Pedro Sanchez wants it. He wants it back. He wants to battle the Brits and the Portuguese currently at the moment on lap 2.
Well, we're coming on to which will already be halfway through lap 2 already. It's going quick here. Biggles already 3 minutes into the second race. Of course, we know the race 3 will be a little bit longer. Luckily, because I enjoy racing around this track. It's absolutely amazing. We go now through once again to the Bult. The speed there is, well, it's around the 130 kph mark, close to that. So a really quick left-hander actually. This then, you do want to get on throttle early here, but you can't get on throttle after turn 10 because turn 11 is really tight on exit, and you can't allow to, or you're not allowed to run wide there because there is gravel on the exit. So you have to watch out for that. Fraser Ross is now trying to go for the move on Pedro Santos. Can he make that one stick? Not quite. Down the inside on maybe of Geert Timber. Not quite able to do so. Oh, that they take all of the curb there. And as I said, you don't want to be doing that too often because that can damage the car, Biggles. And these cars are taking a beating across those curbs.
I'm not sure I'd be loaning them my cars to take out for to do grocery shopping. That's for sure. I'm going to throw that car around like that. Absolutely amazing. Craig Deacon further back there, and Anastasius are going for it too for now. That's to give you an update what's happening further back around there. But still, this action is still occurring right here, right now, here at the World Touring Car Championship for Crest Autosport. And this is going to be continuing, I guarantee you, for another 11 or so minutes, as it allows Alex Ward and Ross Butcher to kind of just run away a little bit up the road that we saw in the previous races before, isn't it? This is where the action is. So starting in around P3 position is the hot spot in the Netherlands.
Well, it seems to be everywhere on the track. It's really hot spot for fighting, you know. Coming through the field, though, once again, is James Lee in that VW TDI. So, once again, Biggles, it's amazing that Volkswagen, it's really quick.
Ooh. Just saw somebody having a little bit of a moment. Look at this. That's the moment right there. That's Fabio. Fabio actually dropped a little bit of an off-track excursion. And that has hindered him a little bit. James Lee, side by side. Once again, Pedro Santos. Further back is Alex Everitt slicing his way back up through the field there. And the leaders are now getting away further, more of a gap. And I think that's something that James Lee wants to try to do, but the problem is he's got the Portuguese driver Pedro Sanchez blocking him and denying him a chance to catch the other British drivers up the road. Look at this. Nice little tight pack, isn't it? I was going to say. Wonder if James Lee, if I'm going to loan you one of my brother's Golf GTI. Volkswagen Golf GTI, I'm not quite sure. If you take care of it, my friend, I'll let you loan it for you. Seems to be doing okay at the moment. He's getting a push along, isn't he, from Alex Everitt?
Well, Alex Everitt, he's been really quick once again here. Alex Everitt still is behind from what I saw. No, they're side by side. Alex Everitt now ahead of Pedro Santos. I thought Pedro Santos for a second could keep up and could hold him off, but not quite here this time around. James Lee, though, I have to say that Volkswagen GTR looks, it just looks settled everywhere. in every corner, and I think that's one of the strongest parts of this Volkswagen. So a really quick car overall, I think. I don't know how much ballast. I don't actually remember where he qualified, James Lee. I don't actually know how much ballast he has, but it cannot be a lot with the way he's pointing that car into turns. Look at this, then Fraser Russell's around the outside and maybe of Pedro Santos. Pedro Santos dropping down really quickly now, dropping down faster than the Stone of the Ocean. As James always likes to say. And another position there, the next gen team working together here. And Lee Horne also passed. And once again, Biggles, here we have it. It's UK on top.
They did their slice away apart days because Pedro and Fabio are exchanging those positions there in P7 and P8. Give or take. Jeff is putting a ton of pressure on them now as well for the Battle of the Brits. And Ian Deanley just behind him. As you see down the main straightaway, it's the start lap 5 actually, because the leaders have already passed it. Listen to the purr of the Alfa Romeo as he's trying to purr his way past Pedro Santos.
Can he though? That's the question, because they look really quick. Pedro Santos as well. Fabio Gil though, in the Hyundai ahead of him, actually pressurizing Lee Horne and Fraser Russell still. So not dropping too far back himself, but Pedro Santos having difficulties here with that Hyundai, as you can see in the background there. So we're going to have to watch out for that one. Fabio Gil now trying to attack Lee Horne. He's going to be able to do anything about that, not quite this time round. Oh, that's a bit deep from both drivers. The better exit though still for Lee Horne, because actually Fabio Gil went wide with him.
Jeff Perkins further back there wants a little bit of Portuguese tapas for a Dutch evening snack. I never put strong that sentence together before, but welcome along to the world of motorsports. A bit of Bolton. Oh, I was going to say around the outside there would be definitely bold and brave, because you've got to think Ian Deanley is right in his gearbox behind. So you can't afford to making mistakes at this level. And that's where both of your Alfa Romeos are, remember, here. Line of stern, 1 and 2 here. 1 and 2 is in 9 and 10.
Well, Biggles, talking about Dutch snacks, a frikandel we eat as well here a lot in the Netherlands. We actually don't have enough of them at the moment here in the Netherlands. Oh, into the pits there was, I think, Robert Stoughton in the Cupra. I don't know what's that for, but that must have been for the penalty we saw pop up on the right-hand side, maybe, because he's dropping down really quickly. He's dropping down even further. He's down to P18, and I think he's going to drop all the way down to P21. But that's what we eat a lot here as well, Biggles. My girlfriend actually doesn't like frikandel too much. So, yeah.
She's not very Dutch. Here's another further battle back. Craig Deacon and Paul Hans. We haven't really seen too much of the German driver here this evening from the only sole Opel car. But he's definitely, Craig Deacon certainly seeing a lot of Paul Hans here this evening. Lots of mirrors full.
Well, not only this evening, if you take a look back at last weekend, or last week at Nagaro, they were together as well. So those two really in a battle with each other this season. And Fabio Gil can't get enough of this battle because he's still behind them. And once again, back down into P7. Not looking too good here for our previous championship leader out at Nagaro.
And finally, as I say, James Lee, because he got the breakaway of breaking the Portuguese apart. Look at this, now applying pressure currently on the man running in P2, which is Russ. So what can James Lee do? Wants to get around here for the Volkswagen GTI. You mentioned they had some pace. It's the only Volkswagen on the field, the one that, once again, I've loaned to him from one of my brothers. Don't tell my brothers, actually. I packed that one up in the suitcase and bring it over here. But, yeah, that's Alex Wood leading this one by about 2 seconds down the road. It should be comfortable as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. But the battle for P2 is heating up here. P2, P3, of course, and P4, because, you know, Alex Everitt is slowly creeping them in. Lurking in the background is Alex. The blue car of Alex is not the one that you want to have in your review mirrors, don't you, in this championship?
Not at all. Not at all. We know that he's quick. He's the champion for a reason from last season and the season before. So, well, Biggles, I think at the end of the day, you have to look at it like this. If you can keep him behind him like Alex Everitt did to James Lee last time round, it'll be payback for James Lee, because he was stuck behind that blue car for ages last race, and he might be this time round again. Down the inside goes Alex Everitt. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. A decisive move there from the Lincoln co-driver, and they're still side by side though. A little bit of a touch there between James Lee and Alex Everitt. Biggles, what's gonna happen? Not a spin, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, I know. This is a P2 up for grabs, remember? Because Ross is just up the road right there. It's actually buying Ross a little bit of breathing space right now. 3 minutes and change to go on this race. He's like, yes, please go ahead, guys. Go for it. 2 for now. Volkswagen versus Lincoln Co. Go. Just battle. Because it's allowing me to maintain this P2 without the pressure that he had just before a lap ago, as Alex is going to try to find his way past James Lee again. James Lee says, nah, Alex, you won last season, my friend, but I'm not going to give you the opportunity of getting a driver's trophy this season. Of course, only round 3 that we have at the moment. One more race to go after this one, as in for this series here in the Netherlands. Race 3 coming up soon. Let's focus on race 2 at the moment, because they're still hitting up behind there, because you still got Fraser here, the teammate of Lee Horne. And of course, Alex is pushing him away a little bit. They have to be more concerned, I have to say, about Fabio Gil there in the background, the Honda, hunting them down.
Oh, he goes up the inside of Lee Horne, maybe. There we go. He's got that position. And that is exactly what Fabio Gil was looking for the whole time, and now he finally gets it, and now he's down to chase down Fraser Ross's Fabio Gil. We know he has space in that car. He's showing it again, but also the fighter, of course, ahead of him is helping him with that.
Ian and Pedro Santos. So Ian Dean trying to find a way around Pedro Santos as well. That's a battle for just the P9 and 10 positions. Crucial, of course, with the reverse grid coming up. How that will pan out for them. If you want to be staying in the same position, or you want to try to be getting an overtake done. Stephen also getting past Anastasius. Gorgias, as you mentioned there before. So it's good to see the Greek driver back on the grid here. He had those technical issues, and the Belgian driver of Stephen is trying to deny him some more crucial points in this championship.
Well, Stephen de Graveler, he's 8th in the championship. And I think just performing consistently is what helping him keeping that position. Not just overall results of being in the top 3 or things like that, just being there consistently is what is helping him achieve that 8th place in the championship right now.
I don't know if he's going to get it here, but here it is.
Here we go, down the inside goes Pedro Santos on Indini. Indini struggling though with that 40 kilograms of ballast, it seems like.
Exactly, 31 seconds or so to go in this race. As I said, Alex Ward comfortably has no problem, but the battle for P2 is this, and the battle for 3 and 4, of course, with Fraser Austin, so Fabio Gil, Lee Horne, they're all 2 for now. Well, it could be a podium for any of these drivers if there's a mistake up the road, but I don't know if there'd be enough time. But Ross has to hold off this pack of James Lee and Alex Everitt. James Lee still holding off Alex for now, but now they're getting a little bit greedy, knowing that time's running out. And here we go, opportunities are here. And be careful, because Alex has taken 2-for-1 specials before in the past, and he could be very much looking to take another special. He's got one car. Alex up at a P2, P3, now he wants Ross.
Wow, what a move there into Madeveen and Duikersloot. Pete, or turn 10 and 11, we're now down the long straight again. We're on the last lap, remember. So it's gonna have to be a do or die into Geert Timber, into the chicane. Can he do so? No, he can't. And if you go to the front, it will be Alex Ward who will come through to take victory. But look at this side by side, further back, almost 3 wide. Who's gonna take it?
It stays as it is, I think.
Biggles.
Yeah, Alex gets that P2. It looks like James gets P4. Alex gets P3, sorry. Fraser gets P5. Fabio gets P6. He's gone in the pit lane there, actually. Oh, that's because they're just exiting the pit lane there. Lee Horne, Jeff Perkos, Pedro Sanchez, and Ian Deanley will wrap out your top 10. Sorry, Alex, for not catching you across the line there towards the end because the excitement was behind you, but you clearly did it for the Next Gen Racing team.
Well, I think as long as the excitement is behind him, he doesn't matter too much because that means he is in first place. So coming through then for the victory once again, James Lee takes the fastest lap here. Alex Ward wins ahead of Ross Butcher. And Alex Everitt in P3, 4 James Lee, 5th Fraser Roston, 6 Fabio Gil, Lee Horne P7, 8 Geoff Burkis, 9 Pedro Santos, Ian Dini P10, 11 Stephen de Gravelier, P12 Neil Crave, 13 Anastasia Georgiadis, 14 Ricardo Pessoa Santos, 15 Paul Hans, Nigel Stock P16, 17 Carl Smith, 18 Roy Plummer, 19 Robert Stoughton, 28 Rodrigo Portugal, and 21st Greg Deakin.
Brilliant. That's the race results for race 2. Fastest lap goes to Mr. Lee.
Indeed it does.
Just wondering once again, like other penalties, of course, goes out to Robert and Mr. Portugal as well. Got cut and sent into the naughty corner for that race.
Not having the best of evenings for him, let's say. He's definitely seen better days, let's say it like that. So, but yeah, Biggles, another great race. In short notice, we have race 3 coming up, which will be 20 minutes long, so 5 minutes longer than this race. Don't go anywhere, because Biggles, we will be right back with race 3. Well then, we're back once again for the last race here at the TT Assen circuit. Biggles, last race was amazing, but we're not done yet. As you can see, these were the results from last race. You know how the ballast works. We're going to get over it in a minute. First, we're going to get to the starting grid. And starting from 11th, this race will be Steven de Graver 12th. So just missing out on pole position there, actually. Is Steven de Graver. Neil Crave in P12, Anastasia Georgiades in P13, 14th, Ricardo Pessoa Santos. Paul Hans, P15, 16th, Nigel Stock, 17th, Carl Smith, 18th, Roy Plummer, 19th, Robert Stoughton, and 20th, Rodrigo Portugal. Starting from P10, Alex Ward, 9th, Ross Butcher, 8th, Alex Everitt, 7th, James Lee, 6th, Fraser Rostons, 5th, Fabio Gil, 4th, Lee Horne, 3rd, Jeff Perkis, 3rd, Jeff Perkis, if I'm correct, yes, 2nd, Pedro Santos, and 1st, Ian Deeney. So that's how they're going to be lined up. Now let's go to, once again, the qualifying results to tell you who has which ballast quickly before we go into the race. There we go. Ian Deeney will have 40 kilograms. Alex Everitt 35. Lee Horne will have 30. 25 for Fraser Rostons. 20 for James Lee. 15 for Neil Crave. 10 for Alex Ward. And 5 for Fabio Gil. That will be the ballast for the last race here. 20 minutes of the TT Assen circuit. Biggles, what are we expecting?
Well, I'm expecting somebody to vote for the driver of the day once again, courtesy of Apex Tracks. I think you and me were discussing in the breaks that we had between race 1 and race 2. Race 1 and race 2 now, of course, and we're going to race 3, who we are picking, but we would like to allow the audience out there to make a choice as well. And then, obviously, we'll be announcing that one towards the end of this race. I think you and my pick, but we'll keep that one secret, won't we, at this point?
Because I have a question.
Dan. Yes, sir.
The steering wheel that's on display on the top right-hand corner, is that a real-life sized steering wheel, or is that a mini-size? Because
that's a good question.
Size,
yeah.
And that is a big track.
That is, yeah, it's Albert Park, mate. Probably 1 to 32 scale, something like that, because it's a it's a 5 kilometer track, if I remember. I've walked it about 3 or 4 times before I'm past, so I should know it. But there's a lake in between there too.
How far is it away from you?
Oh, that's for when I lived in Australia. It's at the opposite end. That's in Melbourne, my friend. That's all the way down bottom part, and I lived in the tropical north part of Brisbane on the east, about halfway down the east coast of Australia is Brisbane. But at the moment, we are down the very bottom end, actually, yes, of no, the top end, aren't we, in the Netherlands, you said. So I know you're in the bottom.
I live in the bottom,
yeah,
yes.
We're in the top part. We're going to get ready for some racing for the race 3, of course, now, as you said, with the grid. Ian Deeney will be on pole.
You go with this one.
No, you go with this one, my friend, because this is your home track.
Okay, I will then. For one last time, the Firefly lights are on, and we're green at the TT Assen circuit for the last time this evening. Ian Deeney leading us away this time, ahead of Pedro Santos and Jeff Perkins behind him. Are the 2 Alfa Romeos going to come through to take 1-2 after the first turn, after the Haarbocht into Strubbe and then into Ossenbroek, into Maddijk. Well, Biggles, we're through the first corners cleanly. Chris Baggs already disqualified, speeding in the pit lane. How did that happen then?
Yeah, I was going to say, he must have been in the pit lane speed to start with, because how could you be speeding into the pit lane when you're starting past the pit lane? Anyway, that's one for the stewards that's been decided. At the moment, there, Pedro Sanchez, battling with his teammate, of course. They are teammates. He's got Fabio Gil there for company. Further back in the field, you got James Lee and Ross Butcher. They've been at it a couple of times this season, and a couple more times they will be at it. So far, so good. We've seen some really good, clean racing, haven't we? Absolutely. Where's Neil?
Oh, yeah.
Bit further back down here in the end of the pack, but we'll keep an eye on this one, because Lee Horne is definitely applying some pressure on Jeff Perkins. Been leaving on Alfa Romeo leading this race 1 and 2.
Well, I think what it is, Biggles, is that Lee Horne is, of course, you know, he's really consistent, but the Alfa Romeos that are ahead of him, seems to be doing quite well at this track again, so it's going to be difficult for him to try and overtake them, although he is now right up at the back of them. But Geoff Perkins, is he going to try and overtake his teammate, you think, or is he going to try and stick behind Ian Deeney?
Oh, anything goes at this point, isn't it? Because the top three are starting to pull a little bit of a gap away. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Pedro Sanchez and Mr. Fraser Rossens are aware of that one, as they're going for it tooth and nail behind, as you can see there down the main straightaway. I'm actually probably going to go on the rear wing so we can see the battle from Ian Deeney's perspective, because there's overtakes everywhere. 20 minutes, of course, in this race. 3 minutes down already. No, 2 minutes.
Grinding there between P2 and P3, Geoff Perkins and Lee Horne. But that's what touring car racing is all about, Biggles. Bumping and grinding can be done with these cars. They can take a hit. They're made to fight hard. And that's what I love about this category. Oh, that's a bit wide there from Russ Butcher. That's not as wide as you actually want to go there in that corner. So that won't benefit his exit speed for Russ Butcher, will it?
Seeing this back here, look at this. I didn't know the traffic was that bad in the Netherlands, but it's pretty bad up here, my friend.
Off the track! Who's that?
Wow, how are they still there?
Both of them.
Yeah, Nigel and Rodrigo. Look at those cars almost flipping. And these are pretty heavy cars to flip, so that's going to show you're definitely applying massive pressure into those chicanes flat out. Guys, you have to choreograph your overtakes, just like this one at the moment between Lee and Ian. And has Lee got the job done? I'd say he has.
I think so. Yes, he has. And just Biggles, just to spice things up, I'm going to get into the lead has gone Lee Horne. He's overtaking them both.
Yeah,
I
just
said it was
Lee.
difficult.
Yep.
But yeah, he seems to have done that with ease. The Alfa Romeos, though, can take the curbs a little bit better than all the other cars can. I do know that. But actually, at the moment,
Alex is going to make a run on this. He's going to have to compromise his exit speed. Somehow, Alex, I don't know what he does, isn't it? Last of the late breakers. And you know Fabio Gil is going to put up a fight here. Tooth and nail. But Alex, old wise Alex, somehow he's just managed to park that car in the right place, doesn't he? Once he sticks to a racing line, he's committed to it, and that's it. He's like, you're going around the outside if you want to battle with Alex Everitt.
Well, Biggles, we're coming up now to the 50-minute mark. And I do want to get a little bit of a fact in there, and that is that there are only 2 drivers with 3 podiums. So the most consistent drivers here with us this evening is Alex Everitt and Geoff Perkins. So they're actually really consistent. Alex, of course, has 2 to add to that. If I'm correct, he finished P2 in race 1 and P3 in race 2. As that was an overtake, I think, for position there from, I think that was...
Oh, pushing somebody off into the track. Who was that? I think that might be Steven. No, there was somebody a little bit. That's Steven. Yeah, Stevie's off the track there. Got a little bit of haji-baji.
Oh, no.
Further up at the field here, between the battle of the Alfa Romeos. Still going for it tooth and nail. Sorry if I'm switching the cameras around all over the place, because there is action everywhere, as you always do expect in race 3. Or in race 1 and race 2 of the World Touring Car Championships at Crest Autosport, presented by Apex Tracks to the right-hand side. And they might, if you get a race win here at the moment, you want to be contacting Apex Tracks, isn't it? Using the discount code there and printing perhaps this one up to put on your wall. That could be for any of us. Of course, Lee Horne this race at the moment.
I am definitely going to do that after this race. I am
look at this.
Going to do that.
Paul Hans, of course, James Lee, and then Antasius Gugis, as you mentioned. They've been at it. And they're still at it. And Antasius gets past.
Some point further up the order, Biggles, so I don't know what has actually happened to him. Maybe has had an off-track excursion somewhere, or I don't know, but he was further up the order a little bit earlier on in this race, so I don't know what actually happened to James Lee. But yeah, back up into P10 he goes, and well, coming back from the setback he has had, and once again, I think we can acknowledge the fact that this VW GTI looks planted in every corner compared to all the other cars.
He wanted to be planted somewhere on the track there. Here's Roy Plummer. We haven't really spoken too much about Roy, but there's the Hyundai. He's just a little bit down the road there from Carl Smith. And here we go. Paul Hans again. And this time around, he's next to Rodrigo Portugal. This is the only Opel driver, remember, on the grid that we have. And that's Opel, of course, versus the Lincoln Co. that we have plenty of on the grid. That's the most popular car, we'd have to say, outside of the Hyundais.
The Cupra, not?
The Cupra.
Cupra's quite a...
Yeah.
No, the Cupra actually only has...
It's an even mix.
Yeah, indeed. The Cupra has, well, from what I can see, it has 6 drivers in it. The Lincoln Co. has, well, only 4, which is a bit surprising to me, but the Hyundai has 6 as well. So actually it's between the Hyundai and the Cupras.
Yeah. Oh, second allow Mr. James Lee to go squeezing up through the inside. Here's James Lee on the outside of the Volkswagen Golf, of course. We know he's the only Volkswagen Golf GTI. Didn't get it done on that one. Alex Ward, of course, has won.
Oh, down the inside.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go, Biggles.
Job done.
And that is the surprise attack into turn 5. The Strubbe, and what a move that was. For the people who don't know what the Strubbe is, that's the name of that corner. STRU.
Coming back. He's coming back, but is he trying? He's actually under pressure there from our Greek driver. Right here. Anastasius, that I've finally pronounced his first name correctly after 2 races in, of course. Well, 2 events in. Sprint race last weekend, feature race the first round. The sun is now setting here in the Netherlands, but I think it's already in the evening for you at the moment, my friend, but race time.
Well, it's at the moment 22:29 for me in the evening, which is not logic because it's still, well, if it's summer, it's very late in the summer because the sun is just setting here in the Netherlands. So in the commentary booth, we are a little bit blinded by the sun right now, Biggles, so we can't see them come across start-finish at the moment. Just hang with us a moment, but of course, once again, Biggles, the drivers from the UK have been mighty because the top 5, again, all UK drivers.
You're right. This is about perfect conditions for me. This is about identical to where I am in this part of the world at the moment too. So if I look outside, that's exactly about where the amount of sunlight we have. And look outside the casting box. Stephen de Grevia, Carl Smith, and Robert are back there, squabbling out there for 15th, 16th, and 17th. Fabio Gil still can't find a way around Mr. Alex Everitt, which is not a very easy thing to do anyway, but it has been done before in the past, believe it or not. It is proven. Can find a way past Alex. Lee Horne still leading from Jeff and Ian Deaney. Deaney. I keep thinking there's an A in there because there is one on my name. Sorry there. Deaney. God, I get it wrong anyway. Alex Ward, previous race winner here. Trying to bring it on the outside there of the Greek driver. Not quite yet. Just reminding him that he's here. Reminding him, United Kingdom have been dominating this track this evening. There's 5 of them currently leading this race.
Well, we're down into the last half of this race. Only 10 minutes to go now once again this evening because it has flown by. Or it flew by, and it's not done yet because Rodrigo Portugal has a chance maybe here to, well, overtake. But Alex Everitt also going for it now in P4, defending from Fraser Rostons. He wants a piece of that as well. Ian Deaney up in P3 with that 40 kilograms ballast from him. And Jeff Burke is in P2. Lee Horne, though, dominant in P1. And actually challenging at the moment, it seems like Alex Everitt for the championship, because he's been really good here at Assen.
At Assen, TT, of course, representing the Tourist Trophy of track. Fabio Gil making a run out right down Fraser. Is that going to be the run that he needs to make it stick? This is just behind Alex Everitt that make that overtake before. As you can see, they hit the the barrels, and his cars go flying. We nearly saw 2 of them topple over before, didn't we? But they managed just to plant their all 4 tires back onto the tarmac.
That's what the curb does.
Yeah.
It's that curb, like I said a couple of times already this evening, is lethal, as is the curb at Geert Slotema.
Listen to this grumping and grinding. That's Neil Crave, I think. That's Russ. Is that Ross Butcher past Neil Crave? I believe it is. I think he's
was he defending?
He's flashing his lights at the moment, Neil Crave, so might not have been upset about something.
Well, might not be happy with the way he maybe defended. I don't know, but that is something maybe for him to report to the stewards so they can take a look at it. Look at this then. Jeff Perkins maybe losing that position to Ian Deeney with the cutback. They don't want to fight too much because look at that behind. Alex Everitt is lurking in the distance to try and take advantage of any pieces that the drivers ahead of them, Ian Deeney and Jeff Perkins, drop. Trying to pick up those. At the moment, none of them do. So he's going to have to stay in P3, but a good exit out of turn 4 into, or out of Osnabrück now, into the Strubbe. Can he make a pass here? Yes, he can. Maybe with a better exit out of 5.
Yeah, this is dangerous, isn't it, for the Alfa Romeos? Because you've got Alex hunting him down there, and Alex has also got Fabio Gil that's caught them at the Hyundai because of this battle. And there's a battle currently at the moment, all for P2, with Ian leading this pack. It's allowing Lee Horne just to run away. 5-second gap he has already. 5 seconds is a lot in the World Touring Car Championship, so he's looking pretty solid there for a nice race win there for the Subaru. But for now, once again, continuing who wants the other podium position places.
And well, who does want them? That's the question, because at the moment it seems like they're juggling for position, especially at the front. Ian Deeney now up into P2 behind Lee Horne. Lee Horne, though, itself 4 seconds is the gap. I think, Biggles, if nothing crazy happens here anymore, this will be Lee Horne's victory to lose. Because, well, he's been really quick here in race 3. Not only in race 3, just the whole evening. But James Lee coming back from actually some unfortunate incidents happening in the first part of this race. And he's in P9 right now ahead of Anastasis Georgiadis and behind Neil Crave.
Whoa!
Down the inside, oh, with a touch! Pedro Santos gets past, but a big slide for Alex Ward, goes into the pit lane. Not happy with that, probably. Maybe a drive through.
You gotta make your pit. You gotta make it. Yeah, you know to make your pit stop, of course. But he would know where to go at that point. So was he committed into the pit lane? Interesting to see. We caught that one right on camera at the right moment. 5 minutes and change to go in our final race of tonight's event for round 3. In race 3. And the action is still there. Neil Crave, of course, is just a little bit tucked up behind the Next Gen Racing car of Ross Butcher. That's a little bit further up the field there for the Rusag Racing team. Further up the field, you can see the battle there behind Ian. That's still been brewing here. That's Mr. Jeff Perkins, Alex Everitt. Hasn't been able to do anything about Jeff Perkins at this point.
No.
Perkins, sorry.
Well, we know that Jeff Perkins and Alex Everitt are the most consistent drivers of them all. So once they're on the podium, it's most of the time difficult to get them off of that. So Alex Everitt is experiencing that firsthand. Of course, he has that himself as well. But 5 minutes, a little bit less, 4.5 minutes left here now in this race. I'm expecting fireworks for these last laps. And look at that, Neil Crave making that move around the outside on Fraser Rostons. Can he make it stick is the question. Not at the moment. Or on Ross Butcher, he was trying to make that move. And, well, the number 55 can't get past at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit different, isn't it, with those tires? When you have to extend another 5 minutes to a 20-minute race. Alex might have just patiently bowed his time right now because of this. You can see he's going to argy-bargy his way through what Alex does. Commits to it.
And now maybe losing a little bit of momentum is Jeff Perkins. Can he now keep ahead of Fabio Gil, because Fabio does want to try and go and follow Alex through, because now, well, Jeff Burgess has lost some momentum, but it seems like he's not quite able to do so at the moment. 3.5 minutes left, Biggles. What are you expecting for these last laps?
Our position changes between some of these drivers for sure. I'd have to say they're battling it out for the P2 positions where it's at. As long as like Lee Horne can just sit there. The gap's dropped a little bit. It's about 3.6 seconds, but it's enough at the moment. It's definitely enough as long as he continues to do his lap times of 143s, 144s is all you need to be doing. But yeah, Alex, you know that Alex is not going to be comfortable at the moment, isn't he? Neil Crave at the moment back on Ross again. They've been exchanging some positions, haven't they? For back in P7. But Fabio wants away past Jeff Perkis. And Alex has got to do the Alex magic right now. But he wants to steal that P2 away from Ian Deanley.
Well, can he steal? Because he is quite far behind Biggles.
You never know.
I have my questions to it, because I have a feeling he's just a little bit too far back at the moment.
Well, you know, Alex pulls off miracles. He's got about a lap and change. That's got to be a miracle. But if anybody can do it, Mr. Alex can.
It's Alex. Yeah, indeed. Never underestimate the power of Alex Everitt. Of course, that's how he won, of course, the championship last time out. Being consistent and being there when it matters.
Look at him now, but he's catching. Look. Slowly biding his time. Time probably might not be on his side, but he's a smooth operator right now. Look at this. Forget Carlos Sainz. It's called Alex Everitt. Smooth operator up on the inside here. Gonna go side by side through. You know what corner it's called in Dutch. Has he got it done? He may very well have. Last late breakers. Is that Alex Everitt up in the P2? You better believe it. He's done it, and he's done it in about 30 seconds quicker than what we thought he would have done it.
Well, up into P2 he goes. The move really started in the second one, then he completed it down the run, on the run down to the bolt and into the bolt, into turn 8 and turn 9. That move was really done. Now looking further back, those Alfa Romeos are dropping down in the later stages of this race. Fabio Gil now trying to go with Alex Everitt as well, trying to force his way through now as well. Fabio Gil though waits patiently. We're now through JPBroadcasting and now back onto the straight, onto the Haarbocht once again for one final time here this evening. One final time we go through the Haarbocht, through Mondag and then through Ossenbrücke, turn 3. A really long right-hander, really long carrying right-hander. Then we have turn 4, which is part of turn 3, actually, as I see it. And then we go into the Strubbe one last time, into turn 5. And we're back on into the long straight.
This could be an opportunity, his last opportunity, if at that. Fabio Gil and Jeff Perkis. James Lee's bounding it for Ross Butcher a little bit further back for 8th and 9th. But I want to keep an eye on this one, because Alex also can't afford to make a mistake, because just a little bit further back is Ian. But I don't know if Ian's going to be able to do it to our previous year championship leader. James Lee still wants to find a way past Ross Butcher and the Volkswagen GTI car. As you said, the only sole one here at the moment. James Lee needs to pull off some sort of James Lee magic. You can get it done. It's close and closing. Not sure if it's going to be enough time.
Close enough though. No, I don't think he's going to be a little bit too far away. James Lee. Don't forget, of course, guys, to vote for your driver of the day. Let us know in the chat who your driver of the day is. And that driver will get some recognition. There we have it, top right of the corner. Don't forget to vote for your driver of the day, your Apex Tracks driver of the day. Down the inside goes James Lee. He, for me, is the driver of the day. But, of course, I don't decide that. You guys do. But Lee Horne has won this race ahead of Alex Everitt and Ian Deaney in P3. Jeff Burgess in P4. And Fabio Gil coming through in the end to finish P5.
Fraser, P6 there, Neil Crave, Ross, and James Lee. Would you want? So your driver of the day, what would you pick there at the moment, mate. I don't see anybody in the chat that says it's going to call us out. You got a couple of minutes. This man, James Lee?
Yes.
Yep. I agree with you. We were talking about that, weren't we, before?
Yeah. He's been consistent in race 1, in race 2 as well. Race 3, something happened, but climbed his way back up. It's a P9. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your driver of the day, your Apex Tracks driver of the day, finishing P or in the top 3 2 times and once in 9th. Well then, Lee Horne wins overall with the fastest lap, so he aced this one as well. Alex Everitt in P2 ahead of Ian Deeney, Geoff Perkins in P4 ahead of Fabio Gil in P5, Fraser Roston's P6, Neil Crave P7, Ross Butcher P8, P9, James Lee, Anastasia Georgiadis P10, 11, Pedro Santos, 12, Robert Stoughton, 13, Paul Hans, 14, Stephen de Greve, 15, Carl Smith, 16, Ricardo Pessoa Santos, 17, Roy Plummer, 18, Nigel Stock, Alex Ward P19, 20th is Craig Deacon, 21st, Rodrigo Portugal, and I sadly didn't catch 22nd.
Oh, don't you worry about that. We'll get that one for you in a microsecond and a half, maybe a lap and a half. No, we'll give it to you about right now. There you go. There's the results again. Race 3. Got you covered there, Dan. Don't you worry.
Well, I would love to say you got me covered, but where is P22? It's not visible.
Unfortunately, I can't snip it when it goes down and down and down, so we got enough of it. But the key moments and the key people you got, Lee Horne, of course, takes that fastest lap of the race. See if we can get anybody in here for a quick chat, of course, for that drive, just as we elaborate on what a race we had. All 3 races for our second sprint race of the season. Here in TT Assen.
Yeah, the second sprint round, I think we call it. The second sprint round.
Yeah, we can go back over through all that, can't we, at the moment, to kind of understand what the situation was there. So that was your qualifying at the start there. Ian, Alex, Lee Horne, Fraser, James Lee, who got our driver of the day, of course, our Apex Driver of the Day award.
Pretty quick there.
Sorry, sir?
So already pretty quick there in qualifying. Then race 1, let's see where our driver finished. James Lee in the top 3, of course, like I said, in P3 behind Alex Everitt, but ahead of Lee Horne and Ian D, of course, as we know, won that one.
Race 2.
Race 2, it was Alex Ward winning that one ahead of Ross Butcher. And Alex Everitt in P3, just outside the top 3. I actually got that incorrect because I thought he finished ahead of Alex Everitt there, but he finished behind Alex Everitt in 4th. And of course, the last race of this evening, he finished in a P9. The top 3 there, Lee Horne, Alex Everitt, and Ian Deeney. At the end of the day, Biggles, I think a very successful evening. And I think one to look back at with all happy people. Of course, the next one we go to in 3 weeks' time, because we do have a 3-week break. Remember that. So the next 3 weeks, you won't see us in the commentary booth on Thursday. We're going to resume in 3 weeks' time. We're going to have a little bit of a break. And then we're going to resume the 1st of December. So I think, Biggles, it's time for us to wrap it up now. No one, sadly, in the commentary booth with us to take an interview. But Biggles, give me 3 words how you describe this evening.
Absolutely exciting.
That is 2.
Thank you very much, everybody. See you again soon in the 1st of December for Spa. Bye-bye.
Yeah.